What's going on, everyone? My name is Patterrz, and ever since Generation 1, Game Freak have loved the idea of just taking a Pokemon and when it evolves, just adding some heads to it. They just love giving Pokemon lots of heads. So today we're gonna count down my top 5 favorite Pokemon that have multiple heads, or at least in my opinion, the best ones that have multiple heads. Of course, it's an opinion-based video, so if you have a different opinion, you can let me know in the comments section below. There is a lot to choose from, surprisingly, considering just the thought of how would this work? I don't know. But first, before we get into the top 5 list, I'm gonna go down some honorable mentions. The first honorable mention here is Wobbuffet. You know, there's been a little bit of debate around whether the tail is its own entity, if it's its own head, if it's actually the driving force behind Wobbuffet. You know, the body is just kind of like a distraction to protect the tail, or if the tail is its separate thing and it's just more sensitive and it wants to protect it. We don't know for sure, but that's an honorable mention right there. Another honorable mention is Metagross. Metagross is a little bit more complicated. Metagross is formed when you fuse 2 Metang together, but Metang is formed when you fuse 2 Beldum together. So Metagross is full Beldum. Now that makes sense, right? Except when you Mega Evolve your Metagross, you take a Metagross and then you fuse a Metang with it, and then you also throw some more Beldum into it. I don't know where they find all these Beldum. I don't know where Beldum come from to begin with. I don't know how you find all these Beldum to fuse into it, but there's so many Beldum in a Mega Metagross. There's the Metagross, which is formed. There's the Metang, which is 2 more. And then you got the 2 more. There's 8 Beldum in a Mega Metagross. That's so many brains, but I don't really know if that counts as multiple heads. I think Mega Metagross has 1 head that has 8 brains within a head. Like, how does that work with the personalities of the Beldum? Are they just machines, or what's going on there? I'm not really sure about that. My last honorable mention here is Doublade. Now, I do like Doublade, but apparently in the Pokedex entry, the way Doublade works is that when Honedge evolves, it splits. So the Honedge splits into 2 swords, and they communicate via telepathy. And I'm kind of curious as to, like, do they have different personalities? Like, is there a certain way that it splits? Like, there's a good side and a bad side. Like, is there a side that likes certain kinds of food, and the other side that's like doesn't like it anymore and doesn't want to eat it? Do Doublade even eat because they don't have mouths, and so on and so forth? But those are the honorable mentions on the list, and now we can start in the top 5 itself. Now, starting off today's list, we have Executor, more specifically the Alolan Executor, which is apparently the original Executor, because in the Pokedex entries for Oras, it's originally from the tropics. And this is mainly on the list because I just love the way the Executor is designed. Both the original form and the Alolan form, or the Alolan form, which is the original form, and the Kanto form, which is not the original form, but it's also the form that you get in every other region somehow, even though that's not the way that it's meant to look. But I love the way that it's designed, because it's the sad little tail part on the Alolan Executor. It's kind of hilarious, but it's also like heartbreaking at the same time. Could you imagine being part of the same body as 3 other heads or 4 other heads, and you just being the sad little dude at the bottom? You know, you can't even talk to your bros up there because they're so far away from you, and you're just like kind of near the ground. You get dragged across the dirt every now and then. I feel really bad for that head, but apparently when it's exposed to enough sunlight, it'll drop off and become an Execute. So there is still hope for that one little sad boy to become a fully fledged Executor in his own right one day. Claiming the number 4 spot today, we have Wishiwashi. Now, I don't think we ever had an exact count on how many Wishiwashi are in the school form. But, you know, just giving it a glance, you know, it's like one of those games where you just give a glance into a tub of, like, sweets or something, you have to guess how many are inside. Just give it a glance. It's just maybe, like, it's 200, 300, 1,000, 500, 100, yeah, it's a little hard to guess. But Wishiwashi, fantastic Pokemon in general. There is a lot of heads to this guy, so he fits very well in this list. I don't even know how this thing forms up correctly because it just looks so strange. It doesn't look like the wishy-washy would connect up that way, but apparently they do. They're a bunch of smart little fishies is what I'm trying to say here. They're a bunch of smart little fishies, and they deserve the number 4 spot on the list because they're so powerful. It's so great when they all come together. You know, when a community really works towards goal, they can really just destroy a Pokemon in a battle. Apparently, that's how this works. Next up is Slowbro, and Slowbro is an interesting one. I think Slowbro is one of the only Pokemon in the series that can devolve. Slowbro, if the shelter on its tail just decides to go away somewhere else, you know, it's going on holiday, it booked a holiday before they evolved, and now, oh man, have to devolve, sorry bud. They can just devolve back into a Slowpoke, and it's really interesting. But Slowbro is one of my favorite Pokemon in general, definitely one of my favorite water types and psychic types. I've used it in Draft League format and competitive battles before. I've used it in Let's Plays, and I've always loved Slowbro. For some reason, that dopey little face just really endears itself to me. And the fact that it has, I don't really know what the Shelter head even does. It just kind of latches on. I mean, it must be kind of painful. It just kind of latches on and sits there, but apparently that makes the Slowbro a lot stronger, which is kind of cool. Props to you, Slowbro. And then when it Mega Evolves, the Shelter just eats the rest of it. Like, I don't know how this works. Mega Slowbro has such a funny design. I absolutely love it. But Mega Slowbro is number 3, or Slowbro is number 3. Both of them, both versions, they're both good. Number 2 on the list is another Generation 1 Pokemon that I've come to love, which is Magneton. Now, simply by existing, the Magneton can cause earaches if you stand too close to it, which has to be like really annoying to train. You throw your Magneton, you're like, Magneton, go, use Thunder Shock, and the Magneton's like, where do I use the Thunder Shock on? And you need to like come on, like over there, like right here, damn it. Back up a little bit, like over there. See, just by standing close to it, your head starts to hurt. Also, it dries up the moisture in the area, which is, I don't know whether that's a good thing. I'd assume that's not really that good of a thing. And if you collect a bunch of Magneton, it can disrupt radio waves. So simply by existing, these Magneton just cause a lot of trouble, but that's okay. I still love them anyway. I think it's a fantastic Pokemon. It's a wonderful Pokemon. Another little bit of trivia is that when these Magneton link together, they don't become more intelligent, and they simply have one brain. One brain to share between the one Pokemon, which kind of makes me feel bad for the individual Magnemite that make up this Magneton, because like they kind of lose their personalities and their sense of self to become stronger. It's like a Dragon Ball fusion.
Fusion.
When they fuse together, they become all one thing. It's really interesting, but I do love Magneton, and Magneton definitely deserves the second spot on the list. Number 1 on the list is the best multiple-headed Pokemon easily, which is Hydreigon. Now, Hydreigon works in a funny way, once again, that it has one brain to share between its 3 heads, which kind of makes me question Zweilous a little bit, the pre-evolution. The heads in Zweilous don't get along, you know, they fight a lot. So I kind of have this thought in my head that when they get really mad at each other, that one of them just says, screw you, we're evolving now, one of us is gonna die, because they just, unless they fuse the brains into the same personality and then they kind of get along, or one of the personalities just takes over and the other one just kind of dies off. It's a really morbid thought. The Hydreigon is an absolutely incredible Pokemon. I wish I could use it more, but the evolution level is simply far too high. And the way that the Hydreigon looks, I've never been able to look at it in a way that it looks like it has 3 heads. I always look at it in a way where it looks like it kind of has gloves on, and it just has like gloves. It has like mittens that they're heads, the mini heads that don't have brains. I've never been able to see it in the way where it looks, it's a dragon that has 3 heads, because that's how it's supposed to look. It's a Hydra, and it's supposed to look like a dragon that has 3 heads, but to me, it looks like a dragon with head-shaped mittens on. I still love Hydreigon either way. Those are my favorites, multiple-headed Pokemon. Let me know what yours are in the comment section below. I would love to hear it. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe for some more Pokemon content. I'm sure you'd like to see it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.